Today, we're going to be talking about the 10 timeless finishes that are out. But bear with me, you're going to want to know what they all are because you should still put them in your house. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Maria Killam, and for 17 years, I've been teaching homeowners and designers how to choose timeless finishes and colors for their home, because a timeless home does not need to be renovated every 10 years. And today's video is brought to you by a comment that I recently received, and she said, I've never seen a trend come in so hard and fast as white oak. And it's also going out quickly too. Interior decorating is almost becoming fast fashion with how quickly we are oversaturated with the latest trend. So I've been writing about timeless design for 17 years, and I often receive comments like this one that came in when I wrote my post about darker wood stains that were trending again. And I'll link to that post below if you want to read it. Read the comments on the blog. They always move the conversation forward. But here's the thing. Home and design trends are very different from fashion, and I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people think that they're the same. I'm sure the fashionistas reading this will have their own list of timeless clothing that endures. If you want to dress on trend, it's easier. We all have a lot of high-waisted pants probably in our wardrobe right now because high-waisted pants have been trending for quite a few years now. Or maybe you're much younger and didn't experience the low-waisted pants with the muffin tops like I did back in the day. So first of all, white oak has actually been trending for as long as the black and white trend has, which is approximately 8 years. And I'm in the color business. I know from moment to moment what is trending and what is out. For example, I talked about this in my trends report in January 2024, where I said that that is when builders started making black windows, plumbing fixtures, mirrors, lighting, hardware standard unless you specify otherwise. That started happening in early 2024. So white oak is not fast fashion. It actually is a timeless finish. So for example, gray floors appeared closer to the end of the gray trend because it takes manufacturers a while to catch up, and then they have to perfect whatever it is that they're manufacturing before they can actually put it out onto the market. So even though the gray trend actually arrived on the scene in approximately 2009, the gray flooring trend did not pick up until the middle of the gray trend, and then became extremely popular because, of course, again, it seemed like it was a really neutral finish and it was new. To be clear, human beings love new. Nothing flies out of the paint stores faster than a new paint trends brochure. And did you know that the definition of news is new? So my follower who posted this comment about oak floors simply hadn't noticed until recently that they were in, and now with warmer, richer woods coming back, in her mind she's thinking, wow, they came in and now they're out. The same as fast fashion. And there's also a big misconception out there that whatever is no longer trending must therefore be bad and should no longer be chosen or specified. And that is just not true. As Brent Hull said in his book, a timeless house does not need to be renovated every 10 years. So let's talk about which timeless finishes are no longer trending. Number 1, subway tile. I've been talking about subway tile for 17 years. You know why? Because I was in thousands and thousands of homes in the beginning of my career, and everybody always hated the backsplash tile that the previous homeowner had installed. And then I realized there's so much stuff on countertops as well that you throw up some interesting backsplash tile and you just have a hot mess. And that's when I started specifying subway tile. There's just no substitute for a fresh and pretty backsplash that never needs to be ripped out. Hex tile in small and large format has been trending through the end of the gray trend and throughout the black and white trend, and it will always create a prettier pattern than large format tile. Number 3, small scale tile hasn't been trending for a long time, and that's because everyone is convinced that grout is the enemy and they're picking up super boring builder basic 12 by 24 tiles for that reason. But it is in no way as pretty as penny tile, hex tile, basket weave, or herringbone floors. For a bathroom, a small scale tile on the floor is a big piece of the charm. You'll never be able to tell how long ago it was installed. Not to mention, small scale tile provides better traction in bathrooms. Number 4, white marble. Simple, quiet, white marble like Carrara or Calicut Gold have been overtaken by the new trend for warmer, busier, earthier stones like viola. While some of these marbles are beautiful in their own right, they are being done beautifully by designers that are considering all the details. Take that inspiration photo, stick that in your custom bathroom where you have a bunch of other considerations, things that you want, and you end up with a bathroom that is not nearly as beautiful as your inspiration photo. And that's what I'm always trying to warn everyone not to do. Because when you don't know what you're doing, simple is always going to end up more beautiful. 5, quartz countertops. Man-made quartz doesn't stain and etch like marble, and it has more consistency than natural stone. I can't tell you how many times I have been in someone's house where they have expressed to me their profound disappointment at the way that the natural stone met once it was cut, and just the blotchy patterns that they didn't think about and where they landed in the actual kitchen. And I've come to the conclusion that to get that timeless kitchen you're going to love forever, you need to have more control over what is happening on your countertops, or you're going to be disappointed. Or you need to have a designer that's drawing everything out, that is managing every detail, right? This is why my advice is what it is, because you're going to end up with a more timeless home if you follow my advice. 6, white cabinets. There's a reason why the Something's Gotta Give kitchen was the most heavily copied kitchen in the brown trend, because it's totally timeless as long as you don't overdo all the other details by introducing too many other black elements. It's a simple, classic formula that will have your kitchen last decades. 7, white windows. It's starting. We're seeing people that are starting to paint their thick black windows white again. Why? Because once you live with them, it becomes really harsh, flat and predictable, and hard to decorate around in every single room in your house. If you have timeless white windows, you can create as striking or as soft as a room that you want, with black accents in just the right proportions, instead of being bossed around by the fixed black in your interior. Number 8, natural maple floors and cabinets. Light wood tones are always a good choice, and even though pale oak has overtaken maple, maple doesn't take a stain very well. But for example, my director of e-design inherited a house with maple floors, and she said, I'm not walking around going, I hate these floors. No, they're great. They're pale. They work for her more modern style. They're fabulous. A few years ago, when my sister put in her kitchen in the little eco village that her and her husband moved into, he wanted wood. So I said, let's do pale maple. And that's what they did. And it looks totally great and timeless today. But the dark wood tones are coming back, and the perception is that they're sexier because, again, they're feeling new again. But that doesn't mean that your maple floors or your oak floors or cabinets are dated and should not be installed. 9, white trim and millwork seems to be out right now, and everyone's saying that you've got to color drench your walls. Well, I'm sorry, but if my trim had not been off-white when I moved into this house, it would have cost an additional $25,000 to paint it all out. And if you have to work that hard to introduce color to your white box, in other words, painting all of your trim and your moldings and your doors an actual neutral, well, what happens when you want to reverse that? Then you're painting everything, and that's just too expensive. You should color drench a dining room or a powder room like we've been doing for decades, not your entire house. Number 10, polished nickel and chrome is coming back, but it's been out for a decade, while harsh black plumbing fixtures and everything else black took over, to the point where it became a builder default, as I said at the beginning of this video. But if you stick to classic chrome or polished nickel plumbing fixtures, then you'll never need to call the plumber. And you can layer in other metal finishes and the look is softer and much more elegant. Does this mean that these are all suddenly bad choices? Absolutely not. A white kitchen with subway tile will never be so offensive that it immediately needs to be ripped out like an emergency. And if you want an earthier look for the new warm neutral trend, I actually have a download and you'll get the 7 best warm neutrals that I would recommend. And as long as you keep your finishes in the worlds of white and cream and quiet marble, you can have that more earthy look, and in 10 years when it's time to repaint your cabinets, you'll still have finishes that are totally timeless. And then it's easy to paint and decorate, just like I can easily do with my bright colors, my yellow sofa, with my green beige warm neutral kitchen. If you're interested in having a tour of my last home and this one, I will post both those blog posts in the links below, and you'll see what a timeless house that doesn't need to be renovated every 10 years actually looks like. I hope you enjoyed this content, and I'll see you next time.